So this is a tender topic because we're talking about love, in a limited perspective. And this is the difficulty that we've defined love and then we've formed a foundation and then we've really put it in the parentheses of marriage. But in the higher perspective of what Father intended, it was a contract onto him that is simply the recognition of sovereignty. I see as you as a sovereign, I too stand as a sovereign. We come together for the purpose of sovereignty to stand united. That's the whole temple of mother and father, to be joined as one under the Father, but not through governmental control. This is sovereign identity established in the template and the representation of Mother and Father in earth,
And then the church came in and decided to make a contract, a binding contract, until death do you part.
which already negates the purpose and the intention. But, as we've already stated, that everything has a purpose and a plan if we can see it correctly, because the lesser still gives us opportunity to see the greater. And when we walk into the greater, we can then look back at the lesser to realize what its purpose was.
So the purpose is for us to have conditional love as we come together in agreement so that we can find united love in becoming one.
This is the definition of, of the conditions of unconditional love. It still has a template and a format that is established by Father Creator Source that says, I have conditions of unconditional love, and they are this: do not encroach upon another. My conditions are that you stand sovereignly established in your full identity and be an expression of Mother and Father as one, that are knit in the purpose of the earth. So this is my condition, and it's completely liberating when we can see it that way. Of going like, I have a willingness to be with you. Do you have a willingness to be with me? In that willingness, we have a desire established that brings forth the intention of why we're walking in the earth.
Right. And so then therefore the church established if you engaged in a partnership outside of the church's boundaries and paperwork to do it their way, they assessed guilt to it, which is a low vibration. It's the lowest vibration you can have in consciousness level. It is a 20.
Right.
And so therefore, anybody that is in an expression of a love-filled relationship that is outside of the church dogma, the church is putting upon it, plus all of its members that have been indoctrinated, putting shame and guilt on a couple that is expressing love for one another, that has decided to not let the state and church mandate their relationship.
So what the people have done, they've done no different than what the people were calling for. Put in place a king over me.
Right.
The
So
church is
yeah.
church is the representation of a Godhead that is establishing its limited perspective or not
to control the people.
to control the people through its definition and its renderings of what it defines to be right and true.
And to control even the process of procreation.
Absolutely. And so we've just
Wow.
unknowingly fully relinquished all our sovereign ability to discern what is and not on our own. And we've given that control over to a governmental head we've called church, because that's what it is.
Right.
And we've allowed them to define, really, our government is a church as well.
Right.
We've just called it government, but it is
a religion.
It is a religion. It is
Right.
a sanctioned religion that has really obfuscated itself to say that it's not, because why would you tangle it? But really, they are one and the same. You cannot have religion without government. It's a governing body that establishes a sovereign state of being. That is governmental headship that is fully recognizing and realized in the resolve of righteous standing, which is Zadik.
Right. And so therefore, the beast system religion and beast system governments are perpetually keeping everybody in a low vibration so that they can always hold the position over.
Right.
Never raising people up in their level of sovereignty and being released from the clutches of shame, guilt,
control. You're right.
Shame, guilt, fear,
right.
Control, manipulation.
Yeah, it's a very, very tender topic, especially when you're speaking to people that are held to a lesser reality or a lesser construct, because you're threatening the fiber of what they have deemed to be truth. Right? It's their construct that holds the fiber of their marriage together, unfortunately.
Right.
But I know, like, just speak you and I know for you and I, we can dissolve the contract of marriage on the lesser platform because of our comprehension of the greater potential,
which we did.
which we did.
I mean, there's still a piece of paper that is with the state,
But
spiritually, we disconnected ourselves from that so that we are choosing to be in a relationship with one another through free giving, not through a contract binding us, but a free expression of love.
And that is solely established on what we see as a greater potential. We see...
Well, it keeps us from holding each other hostage.
But again, like, what is a greater draw to know that you're free and that you're able to... You're drawn in organically through the resonance of freedom.
Right, because there's a fragrance there.
Absolutely.
The fragrance of freedom and liberty of self-expression for me to say, I love you without having something bind me to it.
But in that same breath, we also comprehend honor.
Of course.
And we comprehend mutual respect and integrities, right?
Well, we understand Mother's golden rule.
Well, we comprehend Mother's golden...
Well, we understand it.
Right.
We understand it with Mother's golden rule.
Actually, that's properly said. We do understand Mother's golden rule because as a pillar, we would understand it to hold it up.
Of course.
So that's where we properly appropriate the word for understanding. I don't understand the world's marriage system, but I do understand mother and father's greater potential.
So that we can overstand it in the place of unconditional
We
love.
lift it up by the representation of who we are, where we would stand as two pillars together. That allows for load to be placed on.
Exactly.